Hello and welcome to my latest video where I'll be rabbiting shit for the next 12 minutes or so about spray painting and in particular Rattle versus Airbrush and pros, cons, virtues, etc. of each method, and should be interesting, so tag along and see if we explore anything together, etc. Anyway, first we begin with the basic makeup of a Rattle can. You have the can, obviously, and the propellant gas and the paint mixed together. Well, it's a gas and a liquid, to be technical, and you have a valve and a spray nozzle at the top. When you compress the nozzle, it opens the valve to release the mixed gas and paint together, and basically gives you your spray fan. The cons with spray painting from a Rattle can is to give thick coats. Sometimes it evaporates, but sometimes it doesn't. This diagram explains how the spray can keeps equal pressure as the gas is suspended in with the paint, the propellant. You have a propellant gas at the top and it's in liquid form in the bottom, so it always expands to fill the gap and vaporises into the gas from the liquid form to fill the gap, so it keeps a consistent pressure throughout. And moving on, next we move on to basic airbrush kits. You can get the very basic, which was the Rattle and Rattle kit. You'll get them from about £5 to £10. They're okay, but just treat them as a spray can, as they're a siphon fed brush, and forget about using the canned air with them. It's very expensive. Think about a compressor as soon as possible. This one has a mini electric compressor, and they're good for a starter, but you'll soon think about changing your compressor. If you get one of those, this is the next stage up. A decent compressor, but this one has no tank, so it's always running while you're working, which can be a bit distracting with noise wise and that. So it's okay, it will do your job and it'll do it well. Some say they have pulse in her, but it's not really recognisable. It's not noticeable, especially for how much we paint on 1/64 cars, or even larger ones. But the best one to get if you're going to get a compressor, just go straight in and buy one of these with a tank. Far less hassle. You can buy a full set from RDG Tools, and I've just dealt with them again, and they're a superb company to deal with, and I think it's just over £100 to get the compressor nowadays with a couple of airbrushes. I got mine 14 years ago and it hasn't gone up all that much. I think it's still under £130 if I remember rightly, or just over, so not a great cry. And the virtues of having an airbrush is you have a far wider scope of paints you can use. You can use Tamiya, Umbral, Vallejo, name but a few. You can feed most paints through them if you can thin the paint. You can spray paints, dyes, all sorts, so you're not really limited. You can mix up artists' acrylics, use artist acrylics through them. I've used them for art, and as I said, the range you can see there, there's all sorts in it you can use. You have to check you've got the correct seals in your airbrush. I never have, and I've been lucky, I suppose, but you can use lacquers and enamels and acrylics. But for lacquers you have to make sure you have the correct seals. And it's more controllable than obviously a spray can. You have more control for fine painting, etc. And also you can use candies. These are from the Createx line, and they are honestly superb idea. Candies you can use to stain normal coloured paints. See, the beauty of the airbrush is you have never-ending colours you can mix. You're limited to what people put in the can for you if you're using spray cans. And recently I've found some of the cheaper spray cans, they're very hit and miss on quality. I've had red pigment weep through from grey primer and spoil a pearl white paint job. And anyway, on to airbrushes, and here's one I'd avoid like the plague. It's a very expensive setup, and also the cheapest, poorest quality around. If you strip the airbrush in, airbrush down, it's disgusting what you pay for it. It's all bull and bullshit on the outside. It's not a good system and it's very expensive. Cheap, basic umbrella. This appears to be, I can't think of its name now. It begins with P, I think, if I remember rightly. But all it is just to emphasise it's a basic siphon airbrush, fed from the bottom, and in general they're good for a main spray job and stuff, but you have to run them at higher pressures to drag the paint up through the siphon, because that's what you're doing. It's basically, again, it's like a more controllable spray can, if you will. And here's an airbrush set, that's a gravity feed with the cup at the top. This one's a cheap Chinese set, but it's a great starting point. A cheap starting point coupled with the tanked compressor, you'll have years of fun before you spend your money on more expensive items. It's a great start for beginners to start to learn on. A lot of people say, oh, buy the Hiawatha first, and you don't know if you're going to stick to the hobby like it. Inexperienced hands can break parts on the airbrush, so it's better to get all them fumblings and beginners errors out of the way on a cheap airbrush than breaking £100 worth of airbrush. That being said, here's a beginner's entry into decent quality airbrushes. It's an Hiawatha Neo, and these are the most highly recommended airbrush, I'd say, for beginners and intermediates, and in a professional's hands it'd be as good as anything out there, and really good quality. I think it's Japanese made, I'm not sure. But it's a really good quality airbrush. And you won't be disappointed with it. I'd guarantee that many people raving about the quality, they can't be wrong if they're all using it. It's about the most popular modeller's airbrush. And basically, here's the way your airbrush works. The blue is your air from your compressor, your compressed air. And it goes into the airbrush, you press the trigger down, the button, and it lets it through to the nozzle. And then when you pull the button back, it moves the needle back so the air can flow through the nozzle and drag the paint down, which is the red line, into the stream of air and give you your spray feed, which can be altered by how far you... There's a lot of factors. You can alter the pressure going to the airbrush. You can adjust how much you press the button down, how much you pull it back. And here's basically what happens in the needle. It's the air going in. It's a more elaborate version of that. It's a basic, there's a basic simple principle where it works the same on all airbrushes, and even the spray can works the same to a degree. It's just a way of mixing air and paint to give you a spray pattern. Like the airbrush does it much more subtler and finer than a spray can ever can. Anyway, here, once you've finished, it's great to have a cleaning pot, and these go on your bench. It adds as an airbrush stand and cleaning pot, so you can spray your cleaner into it. I've still to get one, if I'm to be honest, but if I'm doing it, I'll advise stuff like this. I mean, further on you can get your spray booth. They do them cheap enough on eBay. And a spraying mask. I've got a mask as well. It's all stuff you can add to, but in all honesty, I shouldn't really say it because it's health and safety crazy world. But if you're just using acrylics and they're water based, be sensible about it, and for the volumes you're using in model form, it's not really that big an issue unless you're really ill with lung problems. And here, this week, I've had trouble with my moisture trap off my compressor. It's a moisture trap twinned with pressure regulator and pressure gauge. Basically, it takes water out of the air feed. Here I've put a gang of 3 things on so I can run 3 brushes now off me 1 compressor line. And there I'm just showing, demonstrating, blowing through the air. And here I've put a little bit of red candy in the airbrush, and I'm spraying over one of the Miss Piggy cards from the other day, just to give a quick demo really. And I'm happy to be back online with my compressor. And once you've finished, this I'm actually spraying through with water, but I do use meths to clean out. Once in a while I'll use cellulose thinners to clean out, and you just hold it and keep it going till it runs clear. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you would, please subscribe. If you've subscribed, thank you very much to my subscribers, and bye for now.